Welcome everyone to our LinkedIn mini series, Key Things to Consider When Designing a Wire Harness. Today, our special guest, Bob, is going to be telling us about the wire harness design. But first of all, Bob, welcome. Please tell us about yourself and your experience among these years with the wire harness design.
Sure. Thanks, Andres. My name is Bob Bucciferro. I'm the engineering manager for the engineering design team here at ACI. I've been here for 2 years, and prior to ACI, I worked at a large connector manufacturer for 15 years in the product design team, where we've had years of experience working with customers to design products that meet their specifications.
Great, thank you so much. To kick things off, can you please explain the importance of gathering and analyzing industry needs before initiating the wire harness design phase?
Sure. It's important to keep in mind the uh, role that the cable harness plays in the overall system. So when customers are designing a system, they have to keep in mind that the cable harness controls everything in the system. If your cable harness fails, your system fails. What does that mean? It carries the voltage, the current, carries the design um, inputs, outputs. It carries sensor information, control signals, things like that, that maybe you don't think about when you're designing a system, but it's
Correct.
critical to the function of the system. So when you're designing it, it's important to look at some factors, some key factors, things like environmental conditions. Maybe it's temperature, maybe it's humidity, maybe it's a corrosive environment that it's going to be located in. Other things to consider are the application. Maybe it's an automotive application that requires specific regulations, maybe requires UL. Maybe it's an automation uh, project that requires different things, different specifications. Other things to keep in mind, is it an indoor installation or is it an outdoor installation? Things of this nature are important to consider because it has an impact on things such as the wire that's chosen, maybe the wire gauge, the wire size, things of that nature.
So, if I ask about the crucial factors to consider depending on the application of the harness, what would be some keywords that would you like to rephrase?
Sure. I think one thing to look at is the wire gauge. I think the amount of voltage and current that your system is using, it's important to have the wire sized properly. If it's undersized, then the wire will heat up and that will cause safety
Right.
issues, could cause failures, it could cause problems in the harness that result in your system not working. It's very important also to know that there are regulations out there. Regulations, whether it's automotive, industrial, that require the insulation to be maybe a certain thickness or a certain dielectric strength, let's say, to protect the user. So when they grab it, they're protected from shock. Again, a safety protocol. So things like that are important. Indoor, outdoor is important from a temperature standpoint. Maybe you need an insulation that's rated for a wider temperature range. That's important to know up front so you don't have failures again in the field. Worked in the summer, now it's winter time, and now you're having failures. So all of this is done up front to help prevent failures once the installed system is out in the field.
Every time I hear to the terms regulations, to the term safety, um, how can that be enhanced and how is that developed here at ACI?
Well, I think it's important to realize that we take it very serious, the regulations, the UL. We specify UL listed wire. It's important to know the application. So if you have an application in your system that requires a UL rated wire, UL listed wire, that's what ACI will provide. There are different UL ratings depending on different applications where the wire is going.
I
So
see.
that is important. If you're in automotive, UL may not be as important as SAE requirements. We're very familiar with those specifications and standards as well. And so we can help customers choose the right wire there as well.
Great. Thank you. Now, let's take that into the real life daily basis usage. Can you please tell us about an example from a customer, a previous experience that you already had here at ACI?
Sure. Not too long ago, we had a customer that came to us in the dairy industry. They were
Awesome.
experiencing warranty issues. Systems were installed in the field and they were
Mhm.
having failures and they were having to replace the cable harness. Our investigation of their current system showed that the cable harness, what they thought was sealed, actually was using heat shrink. It was using other means to shield the back end of the connector where the wires come out. So when they went through their normal cleaning wash down process, they were finding that water was ingressing through the back of the connector, causing corrosions, causing intermittent failures, causing complete failures. So when we saw that, we talked to them about an overmold solution.
Okay.
We have the capabilities in-house to overmold connectors. What this means is the back end of the connector is covered in plastic. It seals completely around the connector, and it seals completely around the cable. So then you have a full watertight seal that prevents this water ingress. So we made that change. We sent them the harnesses, and their warranty issues, their problems went away. And so they were extremely happy. And that's how we solved their problem, really by looking at the root cause of their problem.
Excellent. You couldn't have said it better. I guess in the end, no spoiled harness means no spoiled milk. Correct?
Correct.
Thank you so much, Bob. Some final thoughts that would you like to share with our audience today?
Sure. I'd like to maybe just reiterate some of the key factors, that go into cable harness design. I think the biggest thing is environment. It's important to keep that in mind. That includes temperature, that includes voltage, that includes the environment that it's in terms of indoor versus outdoor. Is it going to be in a corrosive type environment? Is it going to be in a washdown type environment? The other thing to keep in mind is the application. Maybe it's a consumer product that needs to be safety first. Maybe it's some other application where you need to have a special wire to use it. And then the last thing I'd like to reiterate is the size of the conductor.
Of course.
So safety first, always. Make sure you size your cables to the voltage and current requirements of your system. And one last thing, the ACI engineering department is always available and willing to answer customer questions, design engineer questions. We're here to help, and we have no problems helping.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. Please stay tuned. Every Friday, we're going to be posting new videos. Remember, we're going to be on LinkedIn and YouTube. Bye bye. See you next week.